This set of tutorials is going to teach you how to use Excel's chart making functions. It'll also cover a little bit of formulas and things that you'll need to do to make good looking charts. So this is a study on music and the effects it has on students and while they're studying. And so you can see here that we've got some compiled results. Now these have already had a little bit of meaning added to them because they've been sort of compiled into totals. Normally when you get data from questionnaires, it'll look more like this. You will have entered in all of your results like so. Just say this here is the average. So this is the grade that people think that they get on average, and then connected to the music that they listen to while they study. So these are all individually people's responses. So one person said 90 and they listened to pop music. The next person said the same, and so on and so forth. And these are all their individual results. And if we scroll up here, you can see that I have then tallied them here. And then there was another question relating to that, talking about difficulty concentrating, and I've put in the totals there related to the music. Anyway, we'll start off with the easy stuff. So if we go up to the top, we'll just make some simple graphs to begin with. To include cells in your chart, you need to highlight them like so. And now you go to insert, and then you can pick your chart. You can click, this one looks like it would look good as a bar graph, although if you choose recommended, Excel will sort of give you what it thinks should be the correct chart type, and in this case it's pretty good. So this is showing the spread of the number of students in our study based on year levels. So press OK for that, and it'll appear next to it just here. You'll notice it's looking a bit bland and it's missing some of the key criteria that needs to be in all your charts to get good marks, such as axis titles. That can be found over here with the little plus. If you click on that, you can choose a whole bunch of additional things, which most of these should be on. We're going to go with axis titles, click that, and now we can label them. So this bottom section, if you double click it, this is year level. So type that in. If you think that's too small, you can highlight it by double clicking everything, go up to home, and then just pump up the size like that. You can even bold it if you want your labels to be nice and clear. Likewise, you can go over here to the other axis title, which is going to say know of students. And for consistency's sake, that's 16 in bold, so we're going to do the same with this one over here, because that is once again another convention that you need to follow. Cool. You also need to have a title explaining what your chart is showing. So this is going to be number of students in study across year level, except that's with 1C. Right. Normally you would specify the source of your data, where you got this from, but because we're making all our graphs from the same source of the data, we're just going to specify at the bottom where our data comes from. All right, now this chart doesn't require a legend because there's not more than one set of data in this. If we had second columns with different colors, for example, then we would need a legend specifying what each color is. But this is pretty much good enough. The title should probably be a bit bigger though, because our axis labels are quite large. So we want to make sure that our hierarchy is visually correct. We need to ensure that this is bigger. You should also make your data a little bit larger by increasing the size of your graph overall. Makes it a little bit more readable. Now from here on, it's personal preference really. If you want to make your chart look differently, you double click it, or you go up to format, design, and from here you can choose the way you want it to look. I'm a bit of a fan of this one right here, but it's also good to include things like grid lines, which can be added later on if you want. So if I pick this one, for example, then went to the plus, I can choose grid lines and add them in. Okay, but I'm just going to go with the one we had before, which was that one. Right, all the elements can be moved around as you saw me just do then. You can move around your labels and that kind of thing. And that's pretty much a good chart that'll hopefully get you good marks. From here on, you just want to copy and paste that into whatever it is that you're creating. So if you're making a report or something, then you can copy paste that into Word or whatever. If you are doing the SAC, you'll need to create an infographic, which is pretty much like a poster with the results of your findings displayed in a great way. So a couple of ways to do this: you can just click on it and press Control C, then go to your image editing program of choice, press Control V, and now it's an image, and you can put that wherever you want. Or you could stick it in Word and just Control V once again to paste it, and however you want to move that around you can. If you double click it, go to Format, and make it tight, you can now move it around like an image. Alrighty, going back to Excel, we're going to continue on with some more of these charts. Highlight, insert, go to recommended. You could use one of these, but I reckon a pie chart would be better for these. Pie charts are good for using data that has maybe 4 or less. Generally, if you have too many things in a pie chart, like if you end up with like 8 pieces of pie, it sort of loses its visual appeal. So you don't want to have too many variables in your pie chart. This one works. Press OK. The good thing about pie charts is also they don't usually require much clarification or editing. What you can do though is you'll notice the legend has been put underneath, which is kind of bad for our screen layout right now. But if we go to the plus and then go to legend, use a little drop arrow over here on the side, you can choose where you want the legend to go. Put it on the right hand side, and it's also pretty small. We want to make that very clear, so if you click on that, you can increase the size of it by clicking there. Now it's very obvious what's going on here. We obviously need to put our title in again. You can copy and paste that from here if you want, which is what I'm going to do. Paste. There we go. And I'm just going to make that a bit bigger and make this window a bit larger too, so we can fit everything in. There we go. If you want to fall into the trap of loving 3D, then you can do that. It doesn't really matter. But this is a good example of when to use data labels. So if you choose this option here, which already has data labels in it, you can manually specify data labels right here. That just turns that on and off. Data labels are pretty good for things like pie charts, or if you've got lots and lots of figures and you want to be very specific, data labels are good for that. So I'm just going to shrink this down slightly. Likewise, if you don't like the color scheme that they've given you, you can manually change that. So if you were to double click on one piece of your pie here, change colors, you can change between schemes, or if you would go up to here, you can change the color manually using any of these things, any of these options here, and that will automatically change it for you in your legend as well. Just going to make that bigger. Bear in mind, if you change an overall theme, like under here under design, it will modify all of your font size changing and positioning and things like that. So I would suggest picking the color scheme first and then changing those other things. All right, next up we have some written responses. So these are the keywords that people have written down in relation to how music makes them feel. And we could turn this into a chart if I highlighted it and then went insert recommended chart. I could make myself a bar or line graph. Probably line graph would be better in this instance because the words are much easier to read when they're not slanted. But not amazingly visually appealing. Although it does tell us the frequency of the words used, probably wouldn't look the best on an infographic. You're probably better off creating what's called a text cloud. And to do this, you need to use, there's a few ways, but the easiest way is to use Wordle, which is a free website that generates these for you. And they end up looking something like this. So you go to create, and then you'll get this thing here. It says paste in a bunch of text. Excellent English. Just go back to where you were. Highlight all the words that you're using. Copy, Control C, go back to Wordle, paste. Now this is the part where it can be a little bit annoying because we need to literally the amount of times that you've written each word is how the word text cloud will be generated. So if I go and make this window a bit smaller, I know that there's 15 happies. So I'm going to put a space, copy, and I'm going to paste this 14 times. Got 14. I need to have 7 for excited. So highlight, copy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Motivated is 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Interested, 5. You can see the process might take a little while, so I'm just going to fast forward now. This is ready to go. It's usually a good idea to highlight everything, press Control C, so that it's ready on your clipboard to paste it again if something goes wrong. Right, now, if I press go right now, this will happen. It won't work because it's not actually supported by Chrome, which I forgot to do. But if you open it up in something else like Internet Explorer or Firefox, like so, you should just be able to paste it there, and then press go. And if your Java is up to date, which it never is, but it is now, you should get something like this. And if you don't like how it looks, you can randomize it. And that's not too bad. The size of the word indicates the frequency in which it's been said. So happy has been said the most, motivated, excited, etc. And then like bored and upset are really small, so they haven't been said much. If you want, you can save it. Hit save as PNG. It might take 10 years to load. It might not. And then just save it to wherever you want. I'm just going to go to my desktop for now, and I'm going to call it music feeling. And then from there, copy it from your desktop, drag it into whatever program you want to edit with. So here it is. It's in Paint. I can modify it. I can rotate it if I want. That makes it a little bit easier to see, for example. And then from here, I can put it into my infographic or my Word document. So quite easy. I'm just going to highlight it, Control A, Control C, and I'm going to just put it in here with my other chart. And then just move it so that it fits, and you can see the difference between the two here. This one will probably look a little bit better on a poster than this one. Okay. And moving on to our next one down here. All right, the last one for this tutorial, we're going to do number 4, highlight it. And this one will probably look good as a pie or a bar. I'm going to go with 3D because, I don't know, I want to do it. And we're just going to put it here. Do the stuff that you've done before. I'm not going to show you how to do this one because you've already seen me do it. But once you've done it correctly, added titles, make sure the legend is easy to see. I want you to save your progress, file save as, call it data visualization practice, and then move on to the next tune.